Here are two interesting items, a Gibson and a Fender. You can see from the case, you might wonder what's inside. You can recognise a Fender tweed case and a Gibson, the old brown case. Pretty much worn, as you can see, so obviously well used instruments. So what's inside? A couple of clips still working on this one. Open it up, and it's a lap steel Gibson 6-string Charlie Christian pickup, three poles there and one long one at the bottom. Chrome cover, black knob, brown knob. You can count these 29 fret, which means apparently it's a short scale, or 22.5-inch scale. Now this thing here looks like some sort of homemade device. The strings go in it for changing the tuning or something. It's not actually doing anything at the moment, so that's been screwed on as an extra. The strings would normally just wrap around underneath there, but they extend into there, so it'll be interesting to see what that does. A Gibson 4-diamond there. Looks like the original tuning pegs. And the case, as you can see, is pretty well worn. Now I did look up online to find out what this was. It's a Gibson EH-150. Now on the back, I'm going to show you there's a stamped code DG2307, which apparently means D year 1938. G just means Gibson, and that's the serial number. So a quick turn over. Now it's actually not that, it's wood obviously. It's not too heavy because it's actually quite small. Meant to be put on, just rested on your lap. You can see how it's pretty much scratched. These are the screws that came with it originally. Neck, tuners all look original. They've got Grover written into them. There's the number, DG2307. No cracks. No cracks here. The back with lamination come off, no cracks, and you can see the binding. I suppose you call this a single white binding, front and back, recessed socket. There's the big high nut metal, and the action obviously miles off for steel playing. So that's that one, and we'll be checking out the electronics and everything later, and I'm going to have to probably take this off to see what's inside. It's got various little screws on it and see what it's supposed to do. So let's just close that one up. These, obviously this is the original key thing here is missing. Still got the nice handle. Very worn at the back, which has been put up and down, up and down. Still got the little feet, metal feet. Let's put it over here. Now this Fender one looks like a Telecaster case or something. But let's look inside. Well, it looks a bit weird at first because this is the back of obviously a lap steel, well, not a lap steel one with legs on, and it's still got the big chrome legs, adjustable in there, 4 of them with little black feet on, and the back feet, all 4 of them are there. So let's just turn it over. It's pretty heavy, so let's see if I can do it with one hand. Oh, there's the name, Fender, on the side, and there's a dime on each side. Turn it over. Yeah, it's 6 strings here, 6 strings there. Fender. 2 pickups on each. With chromium plates. Obviously a tone, perhaps on volume, I don't know. Not a blend. And the switch, like a Telecaster switch here, which has got the little Telecaster knob missing. That's no big deal. Fender in these like chromium, were they chromium or nickel heads with the nuts here, tape wound strings, bottom, steel top, and let's see, 24, 5, 6, 7, 8, 29 frets again, fret markers. So what model is this? At first I thought it was a String Master, but then checking a bit more, I reckon it's a Dual Six Professional, probably from 1958. Again, 22.5-inch scale, 29 frets, same as the Gibson. Much heavier, very heavy. Brown finish, which was apparently one of the finishes, or dark finish. This side is thicker than one side's a bit thinner than the other. You can see it lifts up. It's probably so that you can reach across and play it without having to rest your arm on these strings. So again, another case of checking out the electronics. We can put this one up on its legs, I think, as well, and tune it. Typical tunings, I think, are G, D, G, 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 B, E, and E minor, E, B, E, G, B, E, for rock and roll, like Pink Floyd and that used to use those tunings. So that's two interesting 6 strings can be used for modern songs as well as original old style songs. Quick check on the pickup, make sure it's working. So we've got put it on 20k, connect it across, so it's a 2k kilo ohm. So let's just turn this down. As you turn down I assume that's the volume control, it goes down basically to just a pot, taking it down to ground. Turn it back up. It's probably a little bit noisy, needs cleaning, but at least it's working. The tone control shouldn't do anything really. It should have a capacitor on it. I'm looking at the pickup. You can see the coil bobbin underneath the little tops, just underneath there, and looking down inside, the construction looks like it's got a big magnet right at the bottom, and then these pole pieces just come up. So that's the size of the pickup, be like that. It's got the screws coming in from the bottom. So to take it out, you obviously take this off, undo the screws on the back, and it should lift out. Though this has been hollowed out, so to get the pots out, you probably have to maneuver them somehow with your hand underneath after taking the knobs off. Bakelite knobs. Okay, looking at this added on tuning device, you can see how it works. I've just taken it off. The strings are held in these little metal uprights just down there, and there should be another one there for this 5th string, but it seems to be missing. And as you turn it, it's got cutouts, so as you turn it, the strings are pulled into the cutouts or pushed up on the round bit. So, and this one has got a single cutout on the 2nd string, and 3rd string it's got 2 cutouts, so it'll drop it one part of a tone and keep it there, and the second one goes back up. So you've got drop both these strings, or just drop the G, and this one here drops with it's dropped there while the others aren't, and then when they drop it goes back up. So that's just got a dropped fifth string on its own in one position, fully forward. The person obviously decided that he didn't want that dropped in the fully forward position, only wanted to change the second and third strings, so that little metal vertical plate which comes out the slot, looks like that, is missing. Though you could make one, it's a piece of steel with a hole drilled in it. Underneath it had a bit of tape to stop them falling through, which is worn away a bit, and you've got a little wear on the top of the face there. 2 holes have been drilled, and there were 2 screws. Now these 2 screws that held in the original bridge, I'm not sure if either of them are original. Well, this one certainly isn't. It must have stripped out something, someone decided to put a bigger screw in. Looking at the head on that one there, I'd say this was original screw, and they've lost one of the screws that went on the other side. We can see the pickup. I can take that out as well. It unscrews from the back. There's 2 screws here, so we should be able to drop that out and have a look at it. By the way, there's the cover, still pretty good condition, and that was a cover that goes on there. It's held on a screw on the back, so you can drop it off adjusting. And these screws, by the way, adjust. They press on the plate when it comes round, so you can adjust how much it actually drops down. I don't know how well it worked. I might leave it off and just go back to the original. Look at the pickup taken out. Take 2 screws out the bottom. There's also some spacers which come off the screws, which are going to be hard to put back on. Anyway, there's the pickup. Massive sort of U-shaped magnet stuck to the bottom of the pole pieces, and a frame holds it on. Cloth covered wires come from the windings, and there's an earth wire screwed onto it as well. You can see inside there's a capacitor, Malloy capacitor there. You can see the back of the pots. I'm not going to take them out because it looks like they'd be very hard to get back in. So at least they work, so they may be a bit dirty, but they work, luckily. And there's the bridge plate. Took the other screw out. So you've got the 3 screws for that plate are those 3. One's a bit mangled, so they're okay. These holes, I'm not going to put that back on. You can see how thick the top is, how it's been hollowed out, and there's a block underneath. So that's the Charlie Christian pickup. That's what it looks like. This version of it, anyway. It's got a nut from somewhere on top of a magnet. Wonder if that was always there when they made it, or it's come off or something. I don't think the nut goes on top of those screws, it's too small, so I've got no idea where that's come from, but it was in there since the day it was made. Anyway, I'll get this cleaned up and put this back in. It's going to be quite difficult with these spacers that have to go down inside, but I guess there's a way they did it. Put the pickup back in. It was a bit of a fiddle. I held the screws on the back with some tape, masking tape, just to stop them dropping out. Slipped the collars on, and then manoeuvred this in, and then slowly got one screw at a time, and had to screw it on, and that was fine. Cleaned up the bridge and put the cover temporarily back on. The strings are completely kind of rusty and very old, so I'm going to have to put a new set on. I can't put these back on because some of them actually snapped. When we've taken them off of here, some bits, and I've cleaned this rosewood fingerboard, and generally just clean the guitar. It's got a lot of marks on it, but it's not too bad. The back, whoops, a bit of flame maple tiger. There is the nut. I cleaned that. That just obviously cut for different strings. That goes in, just is held in there. So I put this aside. I've just got to get some strings. These holes could obviously be filled if you want, but I'm going to leave it because in case someone wants to put that back on and get it working. The Fender, checking the pickups to see if they're working in the controls. First thing is that underneath the covers, which come up like that, there's a potentiometer in each one, which must be for balancing possibly the pickups 1 to 2 to get the right sound. Both of them rotate, and you can also see the bridge, which is adjustable for intonation backwards and forwards as well, which is good. And the strings drop into these little holes and held. String gauges, by the way, on this one and this one are totally different. I did write down the string gauges of both of the lap steels. This one's got nice flat wound noiseless strings. There's 4 flat wounds on this one, 3 on this one, and the other strings aren't too rusty, they're not too bad. But the sizes on this one here, it's got a 50, 455, a 355, a 165, and an 11 on the top. This one they're slightly thinner. It's got a 10 top, 13, a 20 wound, 35. Sorry, a 20, a 26, 35, and a 46 wound. So these are thinner than these, so they can be tuned differently. On here there's this sort of silver markings on the outer edge. I don't know what that was for. Anyway, back to the pickups. Now, to show what's happening, I can use an analog meter, which makes it a little easier to see what's happening. This must be the volume control. When it's fully turned that way, and this selector switch must select one guitar, the other, or both. One unit or the other. So let's put it on one at the moment. So this must be the tone control, because it doesn't do anything. The volume, one way it's completely zero, shorted out, and as you turn it up, the resistance goes up until it hits about, on this scale, about 70k. As you turn it a bit further, it goes back down again to about 13k. This is a times 100 scale, so add 100 on. So that's up and down. The other, switch it to the other one, does the same thing. It doesn't go as high. Well, yeah, it does about 70. and comes back down to about 12. If you put it in the middle, you can see the middle point on the volume control, it's dropped to about 6.5, so it must the two combine. That's 0. That's fully on. 6.5. I meant when it's one end, and the maximum point is about 70 again. So a bit weird, but that's the way the volume is working. These strings, as I said, are in good condition. Though I don't think if it's working, I don't think I'll take it apart to look at the pickups to see how old they are, or how they're made. It's a matter of I'll clean it up and do a sound check on it. I think these must be little rivets knocked in to hold this metal or aluminium plate, fixed it to the wood, whereas on the Gibson the fretboard itself was quite a thick piece of rosewood, like a normal guitar. So it looks like the pickups are still all working, the volume control and this pickup selector is all working. So I've put some new strings on the Gibson. I think they're a bit heavy actually. I've used a 16 to 58 and I'm not anyway a lap steel player. I've never played a lap steel ever, but I just want to show you that it's working, right? I've plugged it into an old amp, an old WEM there, and it's got the tone control on the volume. The tone control seems to be a bit severe. It goes from mellow and goes to kind of bright straight away. It goes pretty loud. I know David Gilmour's used one of these for sort of rock and roll, but I don't play at all. But I just show it does go quite loud. So the pickup's working pretty good, and in fact you can overdrive the amp really well if you want and make a real rock and roll effect. So it's got plenty of tone. So that's the volume control, works fine. It's just the tone control is so it's all working pretty good. It's the Gibson from 1938. So the Fender twin lap steel from 1958. I put the original strings back on. they're tape wound, they seem to have a very nice action. They're much thinner, quite thin strings, but they seem to have tuned up okay. I'm not anyway able to play a lap steel, but I'll just demonstrate the sounds. I plugged it into an old amp. It's on legs, so that's good. You can raise it up a lot higher than this. And underneath here is the pot that varies between one pickup or both. And this selects this one or this one. So you can put it on here, and now you've got the volume control, which works very nicely after all these years, still working fine. And the tone control. It cuts off a bit sharply at the bottom, but it does go from mellow to treble. And now under here, we've got a little rotary part that selects, you get different sounds, so I'll just play it. Trebly. A much more rounded sound. And it's the same on this one. So you set it somewhere in between. That gives you the sound that you want. It also it's quite a good humbucking system. It doesn't seem to pick up any noise at all. Oh, and you can set it in the middle for both. Now you can tune the two steels obviously to whatever chord tuning you want. Now they go pretty loud, very loud indeed. I was surprised at how loud they were. And so you can just play anything. I'll just demonstrate some sounds. These tape wound strings are very nice on the slide. Slides along very nicely without overly scratching. So. Obviously you can put these back down. The chords are really powerful. It's a very powerful sound.